Traffic Committee to order at 6:30. Present with me tonight in the chambers is Councilor DeSimone, and then joining via Zoom is Councilor Dolan. Can you hear us okay? Perfect. One motion for this evening. From the docket of October 18th, 2022, I entertain a motion to vote on the following ordinance change in section 10-5 parking, 10-5.3 time limited on designated places to insert Wall Street easterly side from Riverfront Drive to South Main Street.
Second.
Thank you. Just as a reminder, because it's been a little bit, we had the public hearing on November 1st. This is to restrict parking on Wall Street, that easterly side, Riverfront to South Main. According to the ordinance, this would restrict it. No vehicle shall park longer than 3 hours at any time between the hours of 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. on any day except Sundays and legal holidays. So this would add that street to that list. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. That concludes the business for this evening. I entertain a motion to adjourn at 6:31.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
So next up at 6:45.
6:45.
6:45.
Thank you.
6:45, too.
Oh,
So
Pete,
he can go
Was that
first.
45 seconds?
That's it.
A minute?
Oh, you don't have anything? They had you down there.
Record time. It was, I think it was less than a minute.
I thought it had.
Whatever you don't get old.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Hi, everyone.
Mike?
I'd like to call Public Works to order at 6:45. I don't have any motions tonight, but I just wanted to have the Superintendent of Public Works come down, Mike Tyler, to clarify what I discussed last week regarding the Rafton Willard Lake. Hi, Mike, thanks for coming.
Hi. Thank you, Councilor Dolan, and thank you for the City Council for allowing me the time tonight. It's kind of a hard discussion. I stood in front of you guys a month ago and told you that all the equipment had been installed according to the engineered plans at Rathbun Willard Drive and County Square. New revelations were brought to us a couple of Thursdays ago that was not true. So that creates all kinds of problems. Number one is, I would say, it creates problems because the amount of time that the Attleboro Police Department spent out there with myself trying to look at possible timing changes that need to be addressed before these lights are actually certified. And we were basically, without that equipment being installed, we were actually out there wasting our time. So as you can imagine, that meeting didn't go over very well. So we had a meeting scheduled for 2 Thursdays ago with the police department, the mayor, the engineering company, and the traffic signal installer to talk about what adjustments need to be made. That appointment was made a couple weeks in advance. At 9 o'clock on Thursday morning, we received an email from the traffic vendor because we had asked him, everything now is been put in as it was, because that's what we were told out in the field. They admitted that it had not been. There needed to be changes made because some stuff wasn't compatible with others, so they made a decision to do, go off the plan, if you will. That's not allowed. Okay, these are engineered plans. We paid an engineering company to have these plans made up. It's their responsibility to follow those plans. If they feel it cannot work in any way, shape, or form, they have to notify us and do some type of change order if we're in agreement. As I stated to this council when we first talked about this project, all new traffic lights in the state of Massachusetts and across the country, they have to be certified. Okay, you can't just drop a set of lights in. We don't have the authority to do that. And that certification process only starts when all the equipment has been installed. So again, I want to apologize to the City Council. I gave you misinformation that was given to me. I don't think we can work collaboratively if I come in front of you or don't reappear in front of you again tonight and tell you that wasn't true. I think we all need to be aware of that. The mayor and the police chief are aware. As you can imagine, that meeting didn't go over very big. We were supposed to talk about fine tuning. Instead, we're talking about why is their equipment missing. They were not able to communicate with each other. Anyone that's drove that area probably knows that there's a problem in that area, especially during the evening commute, I'm going to say from 3:30 to 6 o'clock. So that's the one we're talking about. So we really stressed to them they needed to get that equipment in the ASAP. It was done today. We were out there all day this afternoon from 1 o'clock on till 6 o'clock. We've made adjustments to it now that all the equipment's in there. I think anybody that took that area today might have seen a lot of relief. But it's not going to be the end. We talked about this before. This is just, once all the equipment's in, we're going to adjust. We're going to adjust again. We're going to adjust again. It just happens. Again, so my apologies to the City Council. I came before you a month ago and told you something that wasn't true. I wanted to stand in front of you tonight and let you know that there is plans to do that. It has been done, but it's not a very good day for anybody because there's a lot of wasted time, a lot of wasted efforts out there. I think in saying that, like I say, I really don't know. I'm at a loss for words. Really, and I'm not a lost for words too often because I feel disrespected. We all felt disrespected at that point. So I'm willing to take any questions, but I want the City Council to know that as of today, Now all the equipment's been put in after a lot of stress was put on us. And now we're starting to do the adjustments, and I think you're gonna start seeing some very good traffic signals. And I'm gonna tell you, the police chief was so upset at this that last Thursday, anybody who lived in that area would know that the police chief actually shut the lights off at Attleboro Drive to prove to this company that the lights were not working in collaboration with each other. So they sent a couple detail officers down to there. They shut off the lights at Attleboro Drive. They did police details to allow the traffic to come out of Attleboro Drive when they felt it needed to be relieved. And automatically, there's very little backup at County Square. So it's a problem that can be resolved, but it needs to be resolved truthfully. That's the whole issue about this. Not being truthful with somebody is really not a good area. You know, the good thing is, we've never signed off on these. There's still a lot of money on the table for these general contractor and the traffic control provider to get this thing right. But it's upsetting news because we've had to deal with this traffic issue now since August 29th. And that's not fair. That's not fair to the city of Attleboro. It's not fair to anybody. We did a lot of hard work on this job in possibly some of the harshest weather this city has ever seen. And when somebody comes up to me now, after we spent $1.6 million out of city-funded money, and congratulations to you guys for doing that, and they tell me that they're purposely avoiding this intersection because of the backup, I realize it is giving me information, but please realize it is a huge slap in the face to all of us that did what we could to do, not realizing that all the equipment wasn't installed. So, again, my apologies. I'll open up to any questions or concern, and I do want to thank Councilor Dolan for bringing it up last Tuesday. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend last Tuesday, but again, I think it's very important that I communicate to you guys. If I didn't tell you something that's not right, I need to stand in front of you and explain so. So that's why I'm here today.
Thanks, Mike. I honestly, I appreciate you coming, and I don't think there's anybody sitting here that would ever think that you would intentionally tell us something that's not accurate. So I appreciate your apology, but clearly this wasn't you or your department's error. Does anybody have any questions for Mike? Oh, wow. I think, oh, wow. All right, so why don't we just start with Council Blair and go right around?
Okay. Just to clarify, you got all the equipment now?
The equipment now is all installed today.
Yeah. And they got money being held back?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
Yeah. So right now, Peter, the money that's been paid out is roughly about 80%.
yeah.
Because we were on the assumption that 95% of the job was done. So we've held money back on this since we go because we know we got a problem here. I mean, I live on County Street. So it's very clear to me that we created a situation that is unsafe to this public because of that. And
It seems to me that you're on top of it, and that's what makes me happy.
we
Okay.
try to be, but I can't express my blood pressure right now with this situation because I'm just really aggravated.
I know you well enough to know you must have been really upset at that meeting.
Yeah, I don't like being lied to. Tell us the truth. We'll work around it. We'll find a way to make it work. But again, when we spend $1.6 million of the city's money only to create a situation where people are purposely avoiding, and what we were trying to do is make this a very positive project, that's extremely upsetting. It's extremely upsetting. You know, I can't get over it.
Well, I don't think you owe an apology to this council because you did what you were supposed to do. And taking into consideration you were lied to, it's tough. And you shouldn't have to take the blame for it as far as I'm concerned.
Well, thank you, Council Bear. I appreciate that, but I am the superintendent of the public works, so I am responsible.
Yeah.
Are you all set, Council Blair?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Council DeSorno?
Yes, thank you. I'll keep it short. I was concerned about the money too. But Mike, thanks for coming down and taking it on the chin. But I agree with Council Blair, it's not at all your fault. But it explains so much because I could not understand why after such a significant improvement, there were so many traffic problems. So now it makes perfect sense. And I appreciate you coming down. I'm glad it's finally getting fixed, and I wish there was some other way we could, penalize the contractor for this, for all the inconvenience and aggravation caused to you and the city and all the residents thereof. But I'm glad it's getting worked out, so good job. Thanks for coming down.
Thank you, Councilor DeSimone. We're going to look at all avenues. It's about accountability. We want to hold people accountable.
Who was next that had their hands up?
Kelly.
President?
I'm okay, thank you.
Kelly.
I'll make it quick.
Kelly.
Mike, thank you for coming down with this information. My question had to do with recourse in terms of what is available to the city, not just on the withhold side, but is there any other avenue, whether that's through performance ratings or anything else that we can do as a city to recover some of that lost time and resources that we've put in to tweaking these lights and trying to get this right when the equipment wasn't there in the first place? It seems to me that there was misinformation given to the city, and there should be some recourse available to us.
Yes, and you're absolutely right. And I will tell you that the one gentleman, he serves all of New England. He's actually the one who programs these traffic control signals. He's a separate entity than the general contractor who did the traffic lights. But he basically told in a meeting today with Deputy Chief Cook, myself, and the engineering company that he doesn't matter what happens out of this. He is going to make this right for Attleboro. Even though it's not his responsibility, it still falls under the contractor. But he said he's going to make it right because he's embarrassed too, because he was making adjustments feeling that he was given proper information too. So this gentleman, like I say, he does all of New England. He's embarrassed at the situation too. He was out there today for a good 4 hours with us, and he told us, you have my phone number anytime. Because here's where the whole problem with this thing is. Until those lights are certified by the engineering company, I know we've discussed it before, the city really has no rights to go inside that box and do anything. And that creates a problem. We know we had a problem. When I expressed to them that the police chief was going to put these lights in flash mode, the engineering company and the traffic say, well, yes, they're not supposed to go in those boxes at all. I said, well, why don't you have that conversation with Chief Hagan? Let me know how you make out. Because he's alleviating a public safety concern, and he has a full right to do so. But it's very important that we get these things to where they're supposed to be, what the engineering company designed it to be. Because besides that, they're not going to be certified. And when it's not being certified, creates all type of problems for us. It sounds wonderful that they're still under their purview, if you will. But it's not wonderful when something happens at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and traffic's all backed up, and we know that we could go over there and do some type of adjustments in them, but we're not authorized to do so. So I think I'm trying to get to your point where we're going to hold them accountable. Obviously, it's going to reflect in the review of anything. Again, not happy at all, but there's really not much I can do at this stage except to correct that mistake.
Thank you.
Council Parky?
So, Mike, I'm following up on her line of questioning. In our contracts with the main vendor, the money goes to him. So you're holding $320,000 to the main contractor and forcing him not to pay his subcontractor that's causing the problem. Is that correct?
I don't want to say the exact amounts, Councilor Constable.
But just said 20%.
Yes, yes, we are holding money back, but it really affects the general contractor. And the general contractor,
Which is not the one that caused the problem.
Right.
Right. So my question, following up on Councilor Bennett, is are there performance clauses between the contractor and subcontractors on we don't have any control of that, do we? When we hire a general contractor to do a job, we have a contract with them, and there's a performance clause in there, correct? When the general contractor hires a subcontractor to do something like what was done, do they include performance contracts in their subcontractors?
I think that's a great question. I can tell you if we had utilized, and I certainly wouldn't advocate for this, if we had utilized Chapter 90 funds, the new Chapter 90 rules are the city does an evaluation on the general contractor and all subcontractors.
Bingo.
So we definitely would have, you know, it's kind of hard to give a general contractor a low score for something of subcontractor created. I'm not sure in this case, but we can still make it known enough that we were lied to. And that holds weight. I mean, we have superintendent meetings all the time throughout the state. We have our own platform between superintendents where we can talk. So maybe not officially, like if it was a Chapter 90 job, it's certainly efficient. If you fail on a Chapter 90 job, if you get a failing grade below 70, you're automatically called in front of the state Mass DOT and explain why, what happened here with your failing score, and multiple failing scores could mean that you're taken off the pre-approval list. So I don't think we have that type of avenue, but I still think we have enough word of mouth to let people know that we were wrong in the sense that we shouldn't have been. And unfortunately, I don't have that total answer for you yet, but I'm certainly going to look into all avenues to make sure that our displeasure is
Well, you made me
represented.
feel better because you've explained that going forward, there are new principles involved that do have performance contractors all the way clear to the city, which is very important. That we can not just withhold money, but we can have an additional remedy for any harm done to the city. And that's good news. And thank you, Councilor Dole, and I surrender the floor.
Does anybody else have any questions? President Delacio?
Thank you. Mike, thanks for coming down. Following up on Rick's question, the general contractor is the one who subbed out the work, right? So I think before we just say, hey, you know, there's no accountability, I think we've got to take a look at it again next time we do work with this general contractor. And just remember this, once bitten, twice shy sort of scenario. But I don't want to belabor the point. What I do want to say is the promise you made to us was your expectation was November, but you'd keep the communication open. You did that. You, the mayor, and the police chief did what you needed to do. And I appreciate where you're coming from the buck stops here and the accountability piece. So, you know, just seriously don't beat yourself up too much. I think you've delivered on what you told the council you'd deliver, and you're trying to control and mitigate what you can control and mitigate. I would just kind of think twice next time we do work with this general contractor about who we're subbing it out to.
I appreciate that, President. You know, but again, I'm still the superintendent of the public works. I can't just put another hat on and say I'm not. I'm in charge of it. And like I said, when somebody stands in front of you and tells you that they're basically avoiding an intersection that you spent a lot of time and effort and tears on, that's a very heartbreaking thing for me. I have a lot of pride in my work. My workforce is a great workforce. They're a great group of people. They took a lot of pride in it. To see it ended up like it is, and now we're standing here on the second week of November and talking about a project that was, supposed to be completed on August 29th before they opened the school. Just disheartening. It's very disheartening for me. That's all. I just like to read information.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right there. It is disheartening. This is something that the community was looking forward to. And, I don't think that needs to be understated by any stretch. But, if we can fix it going forward, and we all have a realistic timeline of when that's going to be fixed, and you said, we're going to take a look at it, we're going to tweak it again, I think that's what's important here. And it's not about how do we get to this point, it's how do we get to the end of the project so that the people in that area who use that sidewalk, that crosswalk, the light, the sidewalks, have an understanding of when they can use it the way it needs to be. And I think that's where we need to go from here.
No, I thank you very much for that. As I was saying, there's been little concerns about the crosswalk at Black Oak over there and not being in total lockdown. So these were the things that Public Works and the police department wanted to address with the engineering company. And then when we go to address them, when we find that fact out, that's so far down the road now that it takes a certification process that it sets it way back. That's the one thing we told them. So, your 30-day certification project isn't happening anytime soon, not until we have very concrete answers on every aspect of this thing. You got to sign off on this and tell us that this lights are totally prepared according to those engineered plans. When the day you do that, we'll go out there at the police department again, in the Public Works Department, the engineering firm, and we will make sure that that has been done. Then the 30-day clock starts kicking, but not until then. So I'd like to stand in front of you and say that the clock starts ticking today. That's not true at all. We told them that. That's not acceptable. We're going to expand this as much. So what does it do? It holds the general contractor responsible to the subcontractor. The general contractor right now is basically telling the subcontractor that you're making us all kind of look like fools here. All right, so all the work we did, it all dependent upon when you doing your job, you didn't do your job, you're gonna be held accountable, and we're gonna make sure that these lights are 95% operational to what the engineered plans were before we do any type of sign off on that. So I don't anticipate that sign off right now happen until after the new year, unfortunately. But hopefully you will all see some very significant changes in the traffic patterns out there. So, I want everybody to know, it's just, when we put the lights in a Attleboro Drive, the main concept of putting these lights in was to get people out of Attleboro Drive safely. All right, so before you were taking your life in your hands, there should have been a set of lights there a long time ago, probably when Brennan School was done. So that was our primary thing. So we achieved that. I think we've achieved that. We've achieved good access out of Black Oak where people can turn in and out of there safely. All right, so those are two good check marks, but we certainly did not sign up for having a traffic backup on County Street all the way back to Olive Street, or sometimes almost back to the center of the city. We didn't sign up for that. So 2 positives, 1 negative, but boy, that negative can really outweigh those positives in a heartbeat. So again, I don't want to get long-winded. I appreciate all, and I will come here and update the city council as soon as I get more information. But again, I think for us to work collaboratively together, I have to come in front of you and keep you guys informed too, because I don't like coming in front of you and giving you misinformation. That really pisses me off.
All right, is everybody good with questions?
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, thanks for coming, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So I'd like to call for an adjournment for Public Works at 7:06.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned at 7:06. Thank you.
I'd like to call the City Property and Claims Committee to order at 7:07 by this clock. And I have one matter to discuss. So from the docket of October 4th, 2022, I entertain a motion to declare that the Finberg School property consisting of 1125 South Main Street and 120 Knight Avenue be available for disposition.
Second.
Thank you. Again, this property is going to go out for bid, and it will come back to us for if we have any restrictions that we want to put on it before it goes out. So, do anyone have any questions or concerns?
No.
Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes, and that is all the business that the City Property and Claims Committee has. I'd like to call for an adjournment.
Second?
Thank you, and so we are going to adjourn at 7:08.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We are adjourned.
I'd like to call this meeting of the Municipal Council to order at 7:08. Please join me for a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would entertain a motion to suspend the rules in order to take committee of the whole after the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Where we are operating under suspended rules, I'd like to recognize Councilor DeSimone for a special presentation.
Thank you, President Delicio. Dan and Lynn, if you want to come up. So, if I may. The Attleboro Municipal Council has a resolution of appreciation for Dan and Linda McKerney. Whereas Dan and Linda McKerney are lifelong Attleboro residents and small business owners, and whereas Dan and Linda have generously donated their money, time, and effort to provide a free and home-cooked Christmas dinner for our veterans, senior citizens, low-income and homeless community members, and our local on-duty firefighters. And whereas Dan and Linda have been coordinating numerous food donations and volunteers for their annual Christmas dinner for 6 years, serving hundreds of hot meals with love and kindness for their fellow citizens. And whereas Dan and Linda are hosting this year's Christmas dinner on Saturday, December 17th at St. John's Church. And whereas Dan and Linda will be accepting food and money donations for this year's dinner on November 26th from 9 a.m. to noon at Holy Ghost Church, 71 Linden Street. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Municipal Council of Attleboro hereby extends its deepest appreciation for your generous contributions through your wonderful Christmas dinner tradition, signed and sealed this 15th day of November in the year 2022, James DeLucio, President, and the entire Municipal Council. President DeLucio, will they just promote the event and the drop-off very briefly?
I would be offended if they did not.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate this. We do it out of the kindness of our heart, not for any recognition, so.
It's all
this
about
is
having a heart.
Extra special. But yeah, we'll be having a food drive this year, same place, same time, on Linden Street, 71 Linden Street, in the back of now Holy Ghost Church.
Formerly St. Vincent de Paul Church.
Correct. And we're looking for non-perishable donations, ham, canned corn, box stuffing, instant mashed potatoes, any monetary donations, because we'll be going out afterwards and getting everything that we didn't receive so that we have a full prepared meal for everybody. And that'll be Saturday, November 26th from 9 to noon. And the meal is this year at St. John's, and that is from 11 to 1 on Saturday, December 17th. And all are welcome.
Yeah, very nice.
Doesn't matter. And again, want to thank a bunch of you for Michael's help, Kathleen's help. Laura's
Laura.
been there. John Davis in the past has been there. I know Jay stops in. Usually Jim Hawkins.
Big help for our
So,
food drive.
Yeah, like I said, that's what it,
Councilman Delizio.
both the drive and the meal, that's what it's all about. Like I said, there's a lot of people out there. I kind of had this vision about 7, 8 years ago, and I met my lovely wife. We got married in 2017, and just figured that there used to be a Christmas meal back in the day, and I believe it was the Tedesco family that started it. And that was down at the Knights of Columbus Hall. And then eventually it kind of grew, and they brought it to the high school, and I know Bill Runny was behind that. But then when the pandemic happened, they really couldn't have it. We did have ours. It was takeout only, mass, people came in, and each year, like I said, we started off with maybe 50 or 60, and we grew to about 400 meals. So each year, we're growing bigger and bigger, and like I said, there's so many people that really need a meal, especially close to Christmas time. It's just like, if you want to donate something to, look to the food sellers. That's another thing. For 30 years, I pick up at Stop and Shop at 6 o'clock in the morning, and the greatest joy is to turn around and see a little boy and a little girl turn around and maybe get a cake, right, or a cookie or something like that, because mom and dad don't have the money. So it's not only our meal, and it's not only about Christmas, but think about it 52 weeks out of the year, that every little bit helps. I know you've helped out, Michael's helped out in implementing in the food pantries through the city and stuff like that. That's what it's all about. There's a lot of people out there, like I said, that need a lot of help.
You guys
I'm
do
going to hand these off to you, if you'd like. You could pass those around.
President DeLucio, can I say something?
Appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you. I wish I could be there, and I can't think of two more deserving people. And it's one of my favorite events every year, even though sometimes it can be
We're making memories.
challenging.
We're
But it's
making
always
memories.
fun, and I appreciate you letting me be a part of it.
We
So-
appreciate
We appreciate you, like I said, and we do have a lot of fun at this, literally, and not racking on Laura, but Laura, my son, and I forget who else it was, They were trying to figure out the water for the instant mashed potatoes, because one year we did have real mashed potatoes, and I had a couple of older people, and we were there all day long peeling potatoes. Forget that, that's a little bit too much.
I think if you got one box of potatoes, but when you have 50 and trying to figure out the water, and every box has a different ingredient.
Each different box, because you're getting Stop and Shop, you're getting Market Basket, who knows where. So there's different quantities of milk, water.
Okay, that's
and
enough of
butter.
that.
We have fun. That's what
We're
it's all
making
about.
memories.
And we appreciate, like I said, Laura's been one of our originals, so.
Well,
Awesome
thank you
job.
both very
Thank you,
much.
Dan.
Thank you all very much.
Keep up the good
This is
work.
very appreciated.
Grateful
Thank you
City
so
Council.
much.
Hopefully we'll all see you there.
Everyone's welcome. All right then,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Okay.
Bye, Laura, thank you.
Madam Clerk, will you just do an attendance, please, where we are hybrid?
Yes. I
Thank
will.
you. It's been a while since we've done.
I know, so all votes will be roll call this
Correct.
evening. Mr. Waterman? We're doing attendance.
Just here.
Oh,
Just like here.
yes,
Here.
here.
Ms. Dolan?
Here.
Mr. Conti?
Present.
Ms. Bennett?
Here.
Ms. Holmes?
Present.
Ms. Reynolds?
Here.
Mr. Angelo?
Here.
Ms. DeSimone?
Here.
Mr. Blair?
Here.
President Delicio? 10 are here, 1 is absent.
Thank you. I will now entertain a motion to approve the minutes of November 1st, 2022.
Second.
Thank you. We will have a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Waterman.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Mr. Angelo?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Delicio?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. Madam Clerk, will you please go on to the reading of the first and only public hearing of this evening?
Public hearings on November 15th, 2022. Public hearing to discuss the amendments to Section 10-4 speed humps regarding speed humps within 300 feet of a school entrance.
Thank you. Do we have anyone to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in favor? Anyone to speak against? Anyone to speak against? Anyone to speak neither for nor against? Anyone to speak neither for nor against? Seeing none, Councilor Bennett, do you see any reason to keep this public hearing open?
I do not, thank you.
Thank you. I declare that public hearing closed. We will now go on to a reading of, actually, as a matter of fact, we will now enter into committee of the whole. Entertain a motion to enter into committee of the whole.
Second.
Thank you. We'll now have a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Angelo?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
President Delicio?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. We're now in committee of the whole. If anyone from the public has any issue they would like to bring in front of the council, please approach the podium.
My name is Bill Blackburn. I live at 36 Chickadee Way. And tonight I'd like to discuss the $50 annual permit fee for propane tanks. I live at Cooper Farms across from the post office. And every house in that development, all 40 of them, have an underground propane tank that is 500 gallons. And we moved in, and then a year later we received a message saying that there was a $50 fee for that propane tank. And it's an annual fee that goes on. Now, we communicated, and it is some type of a registration fee just to make sure you have a propane tank. But for a housing development like this, where you have 40 units and they're all underground, I believe they're rated for about 30 years or so, it seems, kind of like an extra fee. We already had permits fees up front to have it installed, and now we have an annual fee that's never going to go away for the life of the house. So I was just here to discuss that, and hopefully maybe I don't know if you can adjust. I know there's probably wide ranges of uses of propane across the city, and it is some type of an ordinance that's requiring it. But for the type of propane tanks that we have that are underground, I don't see it as really a fair fee, going on every year.
Thank you, Mr. Blackburn. Councilor Blair.
Nobody comes out to your property to look, check anything out or anything during the year?
No, the initial inspection fee was a different fee up front when the houses were built. And this is just an annual fee for having the
Having the
tank.
privilege of having one?
Yeah, and it is an underground tank, as I mentioned, where it's just going to be there forever,
I understand.
so.
But there is no inspection. Nobody stops by and walks out and say the ground isn't bubbling.
No, when we contacted the fire department, they mentioned that the company that fills the propane tanks is somewhat responsible for looking it over and making sure everything's functioning properly. But they don't get any of the fee money out of it, the permit fee.
Okay, well, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that there was no actual work involved. I didn't think there was, but you would
Yeah.
know better than mine.
Yeah.
Counselor Conti, then Counselor Bennett.
Mr. Blackburn?
Yes.
Do you own that tank that's in the ground?
Right now, no, interestingly enough. When I purchased the house, there was another agreement in the covenant that came with the house that tells me in 5 years after using this one, propane company, that I have to then purchase, the tank for like $1,300 or something like that. So right now, technically, I don't own the tank that was put in. I always thought that was interesting,
So right now, technically, you're paying a fee for a tank you don't own,
Yeah,
but
technically.
use,
yes.
but use.
Right.
So maybe it's a,
I will own it eventually.
thank you.
Counselor Bennett.
To your recollection, when you first buy the home, or one of your neighbors first bought the home, what were those permitting fees? Like, how much did you pay in those permitting and installation fees to have that put in,
Okay,
that initial
well,
investment?
I wouldn't know that because it was built by a contractor.
Okay.
So, and we just, here's the purchase price of the house, and we never got a breakdown at that level.
Oh, interesting, okay.
But from talking to one of our neighbors that is here, he can speak.
Okay, wonderful.
Mike Shallow-Boyce, I live at 29 Chickadee. And we paid a total of $5,000 because we had a different builder, we bought the lot. And so part of that was the inspection of the original insulation of the tank. Now, we have a daughter that lives in Belchertown with a propane tank, and they don't pay the $50. Well, we understand that a law was passed back in the 2000 teens, and I think it was for people who sell propane. And some towns elected to use this just to tax everybody that has a propane tank in the ground. So that was, Devaney installed the tanks for free, and as long as we buy Devaney propane, for so many years, and then we own it. So technically, we do own it. We are leasing it from Devaney, and then once, after so many years go by, you own it. If you want to switch to somebody else, then you just pay off your lease that you have with Devaney. That's how
Counselor-
that works.
Yep, thank you, Counselor Angelo, then Counselor Reynolds.
Thank you, President Delacio. So was there, and excuse my ignorance, but was there any reason given for this $50 a year?
Well, the letter that comes in the mail says it's gives the ordinance that requires it. And just basically, it's a record-keeping fee. You could look at this if you wanted to look at it. It is it is what comes from the city of Attleboro.
Okay.
You want to see it?
No,
We-
I was
we
going to
can
say
make
we'll
a
make a copy of it,
and
yeah.
To Virginia, our administrative assistant. Folks, if we could just have one person at the podium at a time, no worries, we'll call you up individually, you'll all get equal time. Thank you so much. Counselor Reynolds.
So that was partially what I was going to ask. Did anybody ever say what the $50 was for? And you're saying it's been in there, so we're not really sure even. I'm unknown as to when that.
It mentions it was effective July 1st, 2014. Section 6-5,
Oh, hang
titled
on,
Fire
hang on.
Prevention Schedule.
What was the section, what was it again?
6-5,
Yep.
titled Fire Prevention Fee Schedule for Non-Permit Type Services. Goes on to say all residents, business, and whatever must
Okay.
obtain a permission to store liquid petroleum propane, and an annual permit should be paid by August 31st.
Okay, and I guess what I'm going to say as well is that personally, I think we should look into it, and we will. And is $50 really feasible or too much, or what is, I mean, if it's only record keeping and it's an area, how many?
Councilor Dolan?
So I understand where you're coming from. That's all.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you for your time.
You're quite welcome. Would anyone else like to?
Hi, I'm Maureen Charlebois from 29 Chickadee Way, and I did call when I got this bill and asked what it was doing. And I said, so where does this money go? Nobody seemed to know. What am I getting for it? Nobody seemed to know. And I said, well, am I going to get a permit? Do I put it in my window? Oh, no. There is a perforation there, and you can put that in your files. So it just seemed like money for nothing, as they send the bill to us. So if it's...
I think they want to make sure they're still there, and that's, but
But they don't ask us if it's still there. And the letter is written to my name or the current resident. So they're really not interested in who even owns the house. It just seems like a...
Hi, I'm Debbie Blackburn. I live at 36 Chickadee Way, and my only complaint is this fee is for the tank in the ground. But if the tank comes out of the ground, charging for something that they're not doing a thing for, and that even though it's meant to show the list of people that have them, nothing changes, because nobody's going to dig them up. No one's going to change a tank unless it's being permitted. So once they come in, permit the first time, I don't think there's a need for this constant, reoccurring fee. And that's it. Aggravation and more money. Thank you.
Any questions? All right, thank you very much. Would anyone else wish to address the council on this matter into a motion for committee?
I'll check with the fire chief for his input, President Felicio, and we'll bring it back out. As it seems to me now, it's a fee for nothing. And we get feed enough. So if it isn't a fee for nothing, somebody's got to explain it to me.
Yeah, I think what I'd like to see is answers, and just so the residents understand what that fee is for anyway. So.
We'll find out, sir.
Thank you so much. Would anyone else wish to address the council on any matter facing the city? Seeing none, I would enter. Oh. Welcome.
Evening, councilors. My name is Andrew Fowler, and I live at 63 Upland Road. And I'm here today on a 2-minute informational update for the councilors on a volunteer group that I'm part of, which is the EMP task force. The EMP stands for the Environmental Master Plan. It's being chaired by Mike Davis, who's a former city councilor. And I want to keep it to 2 minutes because my nature of this is to be able to get all of you at once as we reach more and more folks on this matter. We are enjoying close contact and cooperation from the mayor, who asked for this task force to be convened, as well as his planning staff and economic development staff. And we look forward to keeping a productive relationship with that Mr. Mayor before he departs, and any future mayor that may come into play, because we believe that our goal in this work, which I will describe in my minute 45 left, we believe it's important for this decade and for decades to come. The goal of our efforts is to help improve or guide or identify ways for the city to build in, institutionalize, create opportunities for making the city, its citizenry, its businesses, its institutions more sustainable, meaning doing the same thing with less impact, doing even better with less impact on our resources, our energy supplies, and on our environment locally, as well as improve the city's resilience to events that may happen that are out of our control, or prevent things that could happen that we have the ability to prevent as long as we had the foresight to do so. So I'm happy to let you know that this summer we've been expanding outreach to institutions, businesses, our citizenry. We were at the Attleboro Farmers Market several times this summer to talk with ordinary folks who were passing by. Unfortunately, many of them were from neighboring towns saying, oh, man, our town should do something similar. But we think that's really important for us to be a leader in the area where other towns can piggyback off of our efforts. And when we expand our efforts to other municipalities, we can get more clout when it comes to most important thing, applying for money from from private institutions, from the federal government when it comes to grants, opportunities that exist for us to not take taxpayer dollars for our efforts, but to get outside help to do so as we continue to improve our infrastructure and our programs. When it comes to the grant aspect, is only one of many, many actions and initiatives that we could take. That number of actions and initiatives grow as we receive more input from ordinary folks as well as professionals that we hope to keep engaging with. And the grant aspect is it's so congruent with what the planning department already does for our city. Gary and his staff, Catherine and her staff, do a tremendous job putting Attleboro out there to take advantage of the grant opportunities that exist. What our efforts consist of is really helping those departments add on to their good work, but specifically focused on sustainable, environmental, trended actions. So in the main, my request here is just that you keep your ears and eyes open for the mayor's continued work, inquire with him for further information. I would like to see that this, not me, I, on behalf of the task force and the mayor, are hoping to see the creation of a sustainability commission like the other city commissions comprised of volunteers, so that we can further debate in open meetings the possibilities that the city has before it with the new era of bringing the city into the future in that regard. So the commission will be looking for volunteers and reaching out to citizens for potentially staffing that commission. I believe we have a charter drafted. We've modeled that off of other cities and other departments within the city here. And I would just like to note that our research has shown that 58% of other municipalities in Massachusetts, the other 351, 58% have a sustainability officer or commission there, and we should be one of those 58% as we look to be a leader in this field. My 2 minutes are up, self-imposed. But I would love to take questions, if any, but really my goal is just to provide that FYI, and Mike Davis, the chair, can certainly answer any of these questions. I believe some of you have his contact information, so thank you, Mr. Chair.
No, thank you for coming down, Mr. Fowler. I think very informative, very passionate. I know I've spoken to Mr. Davis myself, and there's an event Thursday, correct?
Thursday there is at the Attleboro Land Trust, yes.
Okay, terrific. I saw Mr. Conti, then Mr. Angelo.
So Andrew, specifically, how can the public learn more about this activity, seeing Mr. Davis's plan, joining your volunteer work? How do they do that?
Certainly. So Mr. Davis is making a presentation at the Attleboro Land Trust this Thursday. My plug is not for that. The bigger reach, the more available, accessible information about this environmental master plan task force, this whatever it will evolve into, be it a commission, be it improving our city's master plan generally, being it improving the school's ability to touch and have a hub of kind of what we can do locally. That is actually on the city's website already. And if you were leading me there, I really appreciate you asking me that question because I forgot to mention it. The city's website has a specific page about this environmental master plan, about the efforts of the city to improve its sustainability and resilience planning. And if you were to go on the city webpage and search environmental master plan or search resilience, search sustainability, it will pop up. If you go to Google and search the same things, that webpage will pop up. And we look forward to making sure that that webpage gets more cohesively integrated into a way that the city can really promote the various groups, agencies, schools, citizenry, public activists, private citizen activists, who may all eventually benefit from a even more robust city website to guide them. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Angelo.
Thank you, President Delicio. My question was basically answered because I was going to ask Andrew, it was nice to see you again also,
Yes.
About the Thursday, if you were inviting others to it. Because I saw the plan, it's extremely impressive, and I know Mike is having to get together on Thursday. So I was just going to ask about that, but I know you said you weren't plugging that. But
I will plug it as asked. So
well, all right, go ahead. Right ahead. Tell us if you'd like to have people there on Thursday or what's going on.
I would like to have folks there on Thursday, and I am unaware of the location of where this meeting is, but the Attleboro Land Trust has its meeting, I'm sure, posted on its website. So I would direct folks to look there for the location, but I believe it's 7 p.m. this Thursday, the 17th. I'm ashamed that I'm not equipped with that specific information, with the Land Trust's website.
Great,
I believe
thank you.
it's the Murray Universalist Church on
Thank
North
you.
Main Street.
Murray
You're welcome.
Universalist.
Additional questions? All right, Ms. Fowler, thank you for coming down.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to address the council? Anyone else that would like to address the council? I would entertain a motion to arise from committee of the whole.
Second.
I will now have roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Waterman.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Mr. Angelo?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Delicio?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, motion passes. We will now go on to a reading of the mayor's communication.
November 15th, 2022. Dear municipal councilors, for your information, the city was notified by the Department of Revenue on October 19th, 2022, of our general fund free cash approval and the Water and Wastewater Enterprise Fund retained earnings as of July 1st, 2022.
Do you mind just reading the amounts?
As follows.
Thank you.
General fund, $9,260,238. Water enterprise fund, $1,051,594. Wastewater enterprise fund, $1,616,826. Copies in your packet.
Finance Committee, please.
Thank you. I'm requesting $800,000 for the construction of a performing arts pavilion at Highland Park.
City Property and Claims, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Council on Aging, Melissa Tucker, regarding the receipt of a grant for the SHINE program through the Executive Office of Elder Affairs in the amount of $74,746.98.
Personnel, Veterans, Human Services, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Veteran Services, Ben Quell, regarding the donation of Stop and Shop gift cards totaling $500 from the Attleboro Elks Lodge.
Personnel, Veterans, Human Services, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Superintendent of Water, Courtney Allen, regarding a request for funds to replace 4 filter effluent valves and controllers at the West Street plant, which are original to the plant construction in the mid-1990s.
Can you just read that last sentence, please?
Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $25,000 from 6100-359000 Water Enterprise Fund retained earnings to fund 3338 effluent valves. Copies in your packets.
Thank you, DPW.
I respectfully submit a communication from Superintendent of Wastewater Thomas Hayes regarding a request for fund $1 million from account $1,000. My commas and my periods are not in the right spot.
It's a lot of dollar amounts going
Yep.
around.
Park and Forestry.
Initially, we said Public Works, but that's you, Public Safety and Emergency Management, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Superintendent of Park and Forestry, Derek Corsi. Replenish funds used to repair a dump truck in preparation for winter season, as well as repairing hydraulic lever, regarding a request for funds for in-state travel for reimbursements for fiscal year.
What we're going to do, as opposed to assigning it to a committee, we will be introducing this as old business at the next regular meeting.
Regarding the amount due from the city to the school department under a memorandum of understanding on the revenue sharing agreement for the Medicare, Medicaid reimbursement program.
Finance Committee, please.
I am writing to you to inform you of my intentions, the work done by the Election Commission and Election Director. Submit my resignation after the results of my election for sheriff are certified with the state on November 23rd, 2022. My resignation submission to the City Council to call the special election forthwith to fill my vacancy are as follows. The nominating process, including signature, certification, and drawing ballot position, 1 to 3 weeks. Vote ballot and tabulator preparation and testing, weeks 4 through 6 through 8, and the election would be week 9. This allows for loss of business days due to Christmas and New Year's. Please contact the for details about the different legal requirements. Tuesday, January 31st, 2023 is a date is in the best interest of the city, since the acting mayor by charter cannot perform all the duties of interim or elected mayor. Sincerely, Paul Heroux, Mayor.
We'll go to elections, ordinances, and legislative matters. As of this motion, and I believe there's one more piece, I will be recusing myself from any and all conversations regarding to this matter.
As will I.
Thank you. So that will go to elections, ordinances, and legislative matters, as to which Vice Chair Bennett will be taking lead on that. I will now go on to a reading of the Attleboro Clerk's communication.
Thank you. Attleboro City Clerk's communication, November 15th, 2022. We've received 18 Class 2 license renewal applications and 1 Class 3 renewal application.
License Committee, please, you're going to be busy, Mr. Waterman. You're up for the task.
We have received a coin-op automatic amusement renewal application from the Portuguese American Club, 65 Prairie Ave, for 1 pool table.
License Committee, please.
And I have a second clerk's communication. We received a recommendation from the Elections Office. Should a council member win an election for mayor and a vacancy is established on the council, to avoid a possible second special election cycle, we would recommend not holding the special election to fill mayor until April 4th, 2023. That election date would eliminate the possibility for an additional election, which would be less costly to the taxpayers.
Where is that from, please?
I didn't get
The
it.
second. That's from the Elections Office.
I don't have a copy of that.
I don't
It's in
either.
the-
It should be in everyone's
It's in-
mailbox.
it
It's
is in
not.
the- No.
I assure you it's not.
See it.
Can we make sure that we get that email to us, please?
Yeah, that's news to me.
I didn't see it.
Well, I'll go to elections, ordinances, and legislative matters.
And that concludes the communication.
Thank you. We will now go on to committee reports, and we'll begin with Councilor Waterman, please.
The License Committee does not have any business this evening. We will have business next week at the most appropriate time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Dolan.
Thank you. Reporting for Public Works Committee from the docket of November 15th, 2022. I move to transfer $250 from account wastewater enterprise fund, reserve fund for transfer to account wastewater enterprise fund, previous year's bills for an FY22 invoice to Franklin Miller.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Blair. Motion is in order. Any comments?
None we discussed in committee.
Questions, comments? Seeing none, we'll have roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Angelo?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
President Delicio?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
You forgot me.
Sorry, Counselor Dolan. Ms. Dolan?
Yes. Yes.
10 yeas,
yes.
0 nays. Thank you.
Motion passes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No
That's
worries.
me. From the docket of November 15th, 2022, I move to transfer $4,683.10 from account citywide reserve fund to transfer to account recreation copiers to fund a copy machine for the recreation department.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Holmes. Motion is in order. Any comments?
No, we discussed in committee.
Okay, we'll have a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Waterman.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Mr. Angelo?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Delicio?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
And that's all the business for Public Works, and I look forward to a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you, Councilor Conti. Councilor Conti.
Reporting for the Finance Committee from the docket of November 15, 2022, I move to authorize the payment of 4 fiscal year 22 invoices to the Sun Chronicle in the amount of $197.80, $156.40, $400.29, and $179.40 from various funds. No transfer is needed, as money is available in each fund.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Holmes. Motion is in order. Any comments?
We discussed this in committee. I would encourage my councilors' support.
Thank you. Additional questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Angelo?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
President Delicio?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. President. From the docket of November 15, 2022, I move to authorize the school department to pay a previous year school bill totaling $79.40 from Carl's Office Supplies from fiscal year 22.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Council Holmes. Motion is in order. Any comments?
Yes, we discussed this in committee, and I would encourage my councilors' support.
Thank you. Additional questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Waterman.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Mr. Angelo?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yep, yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Delicio?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. President. From the docket of October 18th, 2022, I move to approve the transfer of $92,000 from the Citywide Reserve Fund Capital to the Health Purchase Vehicle account for the purchase of 2 vehicles, tentatively Ford Explorers, for the Health Department, consistent with the city's Green Communities policy.
Second.
Thank you, Council Holmes. Motion is in order. Any comments?
We thoroughly discussed this during committee, and I would encourage my council's support.
Additional questions or comments on this piece of business? Council Conti, I do want to thank you for bringing partners from the Health Department down. I think the clarification was necessary, and I do appreciate that. We'll have a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
No.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Angelo?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
President Delicio?
Yes.
9 yeas, 1 nay.
Thank you. Motion passes.
That concludes the business the Finance Committee has to bring before the council this evening. We look forward to a meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you, Councilor Conti. Councilor Bennett.
Reporting for Traffic and Transportation Committee. One motion for this evening. From the docket of October 18th, 2022, I move to vote on the following ordinance change in Section 10-5, Parking, 10-5.3, Time Limited on Designated Places, to insert Wall Street, easterly side from Riverfront Drive to South Main Street.
Second.
Thank you, Council Holmes. Council Bennett, motion is in order. Any comments?
No additional comments, thank you.
Additional questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote, beginning with Council Waterman.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Mr. Angelo?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Delicio?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
That concludes business for Traffic and Transportation Committee for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Conti, are you Vice President Cobus' second? Vice?
I believe I am, and I wish to cancel the IT committee has nothing to report to the council this evening. We look forward to a meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. I couldn't remember.
I know, I think I have no, reporting for zoning and land use this evening. I have no business, and we'll call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you, Councilor Reynolds.
Reporting for City Property and Claims Committee from the docket of November 15th, 2022. I move to approve the following generous donations to the Attleboro City Schools. Art supplies with an estimated value
You
of...
can waive the reading if you want. You read this last week.
I did read the whole thing. I'm just doing a little dot of each thing so people know what it is. Estimated value of $700 from the Home Depot in Attleboro. 150 hardback copies of my favorite book in the whole wide world from Share the Magic Foundation.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments?
I have none.
Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Angelo?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
President Delicio?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of November 15th, 2022, I move to declare the following miscellaneous office equipment surplus and available for disposition: 1 copy machine, 4 chairs, 21 file cabinets, and 5 tables.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Angelo. Motion is in order. Any comments?
I have none.
We'll have a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Waterman.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Mr. Angelo?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Delicio?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of October 18th, 2022, I move to declare as surplus and available for disposition 2,586 items, including miscellaneous furniture, equipment, and food service equipment from the Attleboro Public Schools.
Second.
This one you want to waive?
I'm definitely going to wait. Yeah.
2,600 items. All right, thank you, Council Holmes. Motion is in order. Council Reynolds, any comments?
No, I have none.
This will require a roll call vote, and that will begin with Councilor Blair.
Yes. Mr. Blair?
I'd like to say read it, but I won't. Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Angelo?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
President Delicio?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, motion passes.
From the docket of October 18th, 2022, I move to declare surplus and available for disposition miscellaneous items that the Attleboro Public Schools would like to declare as surplus in order to donate the items to nonprofit organizations.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Council Holmes. Motion is in order. Any comments?
No, I have none.
Any additional comments? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Council Waterman.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Mr. Angelo?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Delicio?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, motion passes.
Okay. From the docket of October 18th, 2022, I move to approve the request to have miscellaneous school items donated to nonprofit organizations in accordance to Section 2-12 of the city revised ordinances.
Second.
Thank you, Council Holmes. Council Reynolds, motion is in order. Any comments?
I have none.
Additional comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Council Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Angelo?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
President Delicio?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, motion passes.
From the docket of October 4th, 2022, I move to declare that the Finberg School property consisting of 1125 South Main Street and 129th Avenue be available for disposition.
Second.
Thank you, motion is in order. Any comments?
The only comment I have is that when it comes in as an RFP, we'll look to make some restrictions if we so desire.
Additional questions, or comments, or concerns? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Council Waterman.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Mr. Angelo?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Delicio?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, motion passes.
That is all the business City Property and Claims Committee has this evening. I would like to call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you, Council Reynolds. Councilor Angelo.
Thank you, President Delicio. Reporting for Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee. For the docket of November 15th, 2022, I move to transfer $6,100 from account Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to clerk salaries in order to fund a multi-week overlap of 2 individuals in a single position in the city clerk's office.
Second.
Thank you, Council Holmes. Motion is in order. Any comments?
We discussed this in committee, and we'll be needing this.
Okay, we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone?
Yes.
Mr. Angelo?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
President Delicio?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, motion passes.
That's all I have for Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services, and call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you, Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you. The Ordinances Committee has no business to report this evening. We look forward to a meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you very much. Councilor Blair.
Thank you. Reporting for Public Safety Committee, I have one motion this evening. I move to transfer $5,122.29 from account 112410000-578300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account 121010000-558203 Police Photographic Supplies to purchase an ID machine and associated material.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Holmes. Motion is in order. Any comments?
We discussed it in committee, Mr. President.
Councilor Conti.
So I had a recollection after your committee meeting of going to the police department about 10 or 12 years ago to get an ID for being an Attleboro City Councilor. And I believe it was Captain Bennett at the time who pulled out of his desk and had this little thermo machine to create the device, and it took about 20 minutes. It was really a very unique, antiquated process. It's about time that we update it. And I'm all in favor of getting this done.
I'll bet you, Richard, in this council, who has a badge? Who has one? right? Raise your hands. You got one?
I don't know, I don't think I could find mine anymore. It's somewhere.
I did.
I must have had one if you have.
It is, I would recommend councils get one.
Yeah.
I would recommend councils get one because there are a few times when you are in public that it would be nice to identify yourself to the public so the public can address you. For example, at a parade or at a social event or a business event. I got mine for a specific reason, that I was going into, I was covering for, I think, licenses, and I was going to auto dealerships, and I wanted them to know that I was on the up and up. And so I got, and I would recommend you get one, because some of the situations, and I think Councilor Dolan can attest to this, get a little tense. And
That's true.
so anyway, back to the issue. I highly support, and that concludes my comments.
Yeah, it's true that you can go into these places and give them one of your cards, but anybody can have those made up. This looks official, and with the new machine, it'll really look official.
Additional comments? Seeing none, we'll have roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Waterman.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman. Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Ms. Bennett.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Mr. Angelo.
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone.
Yes.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
President Delicio.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, motion passes.
I have no other business this evening from public safety, but I would request a committee meeting next week at the appropriate time.
Thank you. There is no old business. There's one piece of new business for which I'll recognize Councilor Bennett.
Oh, gosh, I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me.
Okay.
It was not printed for this evening.
It's on the agenda,
on the
Council
agenda.
Bennett. You can read off the agenda. On the new business.
I'm sorry, give me one moment.
No worries.
Or I can read it if you want.
You want mine?
Not on you there.
I didn't see
It's
it on
under
there.
new business on the agenda.
It's at the top, yeah.
Okay. One item of new business for this evening for study and recommendation. A request came in from a constituent for a multi-way stop sign at the intersection of Dennis Street and Eldridge Street.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor
Thank
Holmes.
you.
Any comments? Councilor Bennett. Any comments?
No comments. This came in from a constituent, so I'd like to refer this to traffic study.
Okay.
For study, thank you.
So we will do we'll do a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Blair. Nope. Yep,
Blair.
Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone.
Yes.
Mr. Angelo.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Ms. Bennett.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
President Delicio.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. We'll refer that to Traffic and Transportation, and we'll also refer that to Traffic Study Committee.
Thank you.
I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We'll have a roll call vote to adjourn with starting with Councilor Blair. No,
Councilor Waterman.
Councilor Waterman.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Ms. Bennett.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Mr. Angelo.
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone.
Yes.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
President Delicio.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. We adjourned at 8:04. Have a nice night, everyone.
Roll call, guys.
That's okay.
So Richard,